So, as promised, we are going to have now a session, is a EU research and policy session, and we have really the pleasure of having Professor Guido Caldarelli from IMT Lucca to giving us some insights about one of these initiatives that is part of the Future Emerging Technology Flagship. So all of you who are involved in interdisciplinary research, and in particular in EU research, who have been involved, who are involved in EU projects, I think you will really benefit from this presentation and the conversation that will follow afterwards. Just one remark, this is an initiative that is not tackling just sustainable finance. It's actually at a broader, it's looking at a broader scope, all aspects of essentially many aspects of the future society in the wave of several developments that there are, such as the digital transformation and also the cohesion of the social cohesion in the European political project. But sustainable finance is clearly going to be one of the pillars there. So this is why we have invited Guido to present this. And let me say a couple of words. I've been knowing Guido since now almost 20 years. When I was a PhD student in the first project that he was coordinating. And Guido have been making important contributions in the field of complex networks, and in particular financial networks, where we have been collaborating since many years. So it's really a pleasure for me to introduce to you Guido Caldarelli and to leave the floor to him for about 15 minutes and to present this flagship initiative, after which I'll join you on stage to have a conversation. Thank you. Guido.
So I promised to Stefano not to act as a bureaucrat, but a little bit I have to. So what I'm talking about is this. This is future and emerging technologies. That is one of the areas in which the European Union is financing activities. What are they planning to do? They would like to now have something that has all these characteristics, so I don't want to go through all of them. These are taken from slides of real bureaucrats from European. The idea is that we would like to develop a visionary project, a visionary set of actions that would change most of the things that we believe needs to be changed in our present society, in the way we do research, in the way we interact with other people, and you know, filling the gap, no? like this conference is really aiming to, filling the gap between the many things that are going around in this period, and try to make a sense out of that. It must have a clear added value. It must put together scientists from academia with people working in companies, in industries, and put Europe in a wide sense. So also not only European Union countries, but Switzerland as well. And in the future also UK, because it will take part, if Brexit comes through, will take part in these initiatives, bridging the gap that we, in these countries, should or could have with respect to other countries, and make life of people in this continent better than it is now. Okay, these are technicalities, but definitely something that needs to be addressed. Strange picture, now the animation is gone because my PC doesn't work here. Why it's so important that we're discussing here? Because this is a project that will last 10 years and will be funded by 1 billion euros. Okay, so 100 million per year along these 10 years. Of course, they are not given over the counter. I mean, so, okay, I've got an idea. This is it. There is a very complicated way. So sorry, forget about all these blue circles and other pictures. Look only on the timeline that is on top. On February, so in 1 month, in 30 There will be the first deadline in which we shall present which are the ideas behind this activity, this initiative. The people and the consortia who will pass this first deadline will be invited to submit a longer proposal in September this year, so in 9 months from now. And only six of consortia divided in this way: 2 consortia about environment, 2 about health, and 2 about society and societal changes, and this is why I'm talking to you today. We'll get 1 million euros to organize events like these conferences, not so nice, but we will do our best to do that, and to form the consortium who will run for this 1 billion euro program. Of course, visionary means that we would like to do something really with an impact. And in our view, discussing with most of the people that is present here today, and with whom we share 20 years and more of research made together, we would like to put together different disciplines and create a science that is able to understand the society in various aspects. Of course, we don't want to have a clear structure and vision of how the society is composed, but certainly, for example, why finance drives things in a certain direction instead of another one. But focusing on these 3 big concepts that are complex, so the fact that we are dealing with a non-linear system in which the feedback is not simple to be described. So you have an action and the reaction is unexpected, if you want. Social, because it addresses the way in which we live. And technical, because in most of the case, this is driven by information technology instruments. So which are the grand challenges? This is a cover of the New Yorker, very recent, 4 months ago. We don't want to end life. No? We don't want to be, as human beings, as the poor guys in a world that is ruled by machines or robots. No, we have values as Europeans: democracy, the way in which we build our society. And we would like, if possible, to pass to the future generations these ideas. So imagine a city in Europe and suddenly Uber arrives. How this change the market of labor there for taxi people, for people who are doing transport? How Airbnb is changing the market of the people, having a hotel or B&B or this other stuff. So in this society, overnight, everything changes. And as regulators, as a politician, as people who would like to administer what is our society, we need to be able to understand what's going on and to give a younger generation a perspective. What will be my job? What will be my place in the future society? Will be like this guy there? Hopefully not. Can we build a fair and sustainable financial system? And this is exactly one of the topics that this conference is aiming to answer to. So what do we need? We need a series of things for that proposal. And we need definitely computer science, because most of these activities are based on the internet and services over internet. We need basic science, mathematics. I'm a theorist, physicist working on complex networks, so I put networks there. But of course, there are behavioral economics, other millions of other topics that are needed in order to understand what is going on. Mathematics, algorithms, computers, but mostly we need engagement of people. So the most important ingredient is you as a scientist, as a practitioner, as people working in the industry, and the people in the streets. So what we are planning to do, we would like to create a virtual place, an agora, like the Greek ancestors called, where people can meet, exchange things, possibly if the things to be exchanged are of a certain sensitive value, with blockchain, given that blockchain is consuming a lot of energy, so no? But you can secure these transactions there. But above all, what you would like to do is to collect people's data. Okay. At the moment, we are creating every instant, every second data. So the amount of data that we create in 1 year is of the same size of all the data that has been created from civilization in Egypt or the Middle East to now. Okay. So we double every year. Imagine that. Which is the rate of stuff. So this data at the moment is created and given away. Wasted, in the best case, as a gift to companies who are not even based in Europe. Okay, so that's the key point. Is this data useful in order to control people? Well, we like to see the opposite way. If we use this data to do nowcasting, to predict what's going on in a place, what's going on in a certain part of the society, this is not only a control of the people, but gives a measure, gives a set of quantitative instruments in order to ask politicians and administrators why you made a certain decision in this direction and not in the other one. Because now there is an evidence, a measurable evidence of what it is. So this is also accountability of people who are ruling us. So this data must be used in a transparent way, must be collected, must be put in a form of open data available to everybody. Everybody who produced has the right in any situation to use in a properly anonymized form, to delete it, to delete part of it in any time, and will always have the property of what they created. So, of course, this needs a large-scale integration across various disciplines. I mentioned some of them at the beginning. We need a critical mass of people in the academia, but also people in the industries. The first one are, of course, telecommunication. So imagine your mobile phone is now the computer in which all this data is stored and used to set up connections with the other. We already discussed with various large and small institutions Europe-wide, but we are starting now. Okay, so after 1 year of preparation, now we start preparing things. And this is why I'm calling ideas from you, and this is why I would like to discuss these issues with you. So which is the scale of activity? We cannot save the world, of course. We have to have specific actions focused at specific topics, and the scale at which we believe that we can give the most of the impact is the scale of urban regions, cities. Now, I come from Rome, even if I live in Lucca. Rome is a large city. In Rome, you see there all the problems that have a global origin. So migration, people go, some of them pass the Mediterranean, some others, unlucky, don't, arrives in Italy and then comes to the big cities, okay? So we face locally a global problem. Climate change, of course, we've seen on all this morning example of that. Unemployment strikes most in the cities. And above all, in 2050, 75% of European people will live in cities. So this is where probably we need to put our efforts. So to cut a long story short, also to give some time to Stefano for collecting questions, the key point of this initiative is data. So re-empowering citizens with wealth they themselves are producing. That is their data and their network of interactions, their interest and how they behave. And this, in our opinion, will put European Union and Europe at the forefront of this way to approach this problem with respect to other countries, because we will put in it our values, our idea of democracy, our idea of citizenship, our idea of control of the people who are ruling us. Which is the room of industries? This I would like to finish just with these few slides. One possibility is these new transitions that we are witnessing now. Just in these days in Italy, I don't know, in Switzerland, Vodafone, sorry to mention one company, is trying to launch their services for the Internet of Things. Where is my car? Where are my keys? Where are not? So they are all connected. This is extra amount of data available. This is one possibility in which we can work, and extracting data for public good benefit also from the Internet of Things. Okay, this is technicalities. This is Flagira to whom we are connected. Similar initiative, this is Venice Time Machine. So studying in the past what has been the network between people. I really would like to enter in contact with these guys, because we would like to discuss the society now and they would like to discuss the society in the past, but of course the two things are related. So how many people so far? We will end up in the order of hundreds, okay? And for the management that we decided to give to this project, it doesn't really care if you enter now, if you enter at the beginning or later on. You will have a fair part of that. At the moment, these are the countries and the people who have been contacted and who enthusiastically, let's say, agreed and take part in this initiative. So I really would like that some of you also feel the same enthusiasm, and I'm here to answer, if I know, to your question, and if possible, get your ideas about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Guido. I'd like to invite you to the stage.
I'll take this, otherwise I'll inevitably forget here.
While our technician tries to fix the flickering of the screen. So I'd like to open the floor for the discussion for a few minutes. So, but let me start maybe breaking the ice. So, in your view, what is the role that you said it a little bit, but maybe you could elaborate? Where do you see the connections to finance, and in particular to sustainable finance, which is will be the topic of this conference, and essentially is the a set of disciplines and instruments that try to incorporate into the traditional finance, try to go beyond traditional finance and integrate dimensions of environment and social impact. In your, the vision that you have presented in particular has to do with cities. So I'd like to hear from you, where do you see possible connections between these two areas?
Yes, thank you very much. Definitely finance is probably the most globalized object because it evolved in such a way, it worked in such a way. We're not against, of course, this scale of problem. We have the feeling that if we can do something is at a lower local scale. And in my view, but maybe I'm wrong on that, this blockchain stuff that we discussed this morning, Professor Jäger was introducing in the beautiful lecture at the beginning of the conference, is a system that is based on trust. That it is ensured by a proof of work that is particularly energy consuming. Possibly we can imagine different concepts of blockchain in which the trust between people living in the same environment could partly reduce this cost by lowering the efforts needed for the proof of work. This is only one of the ideas. Certainly, we need a finance that looks as a value to the feeling. We are in a country in which this feeling is pretty strong, by the way. This is Switzerland. The feeling of belonging to the same community. So this is one of the value that could be put in this new sustainable finance, to my view.
Let me open to the floor. Are there reactions? How about, in particular, the relation between... Yeah, Antoine.
When you said to give back to citizens the data they produce. I mean, the data is co-produced most of the time by the citizen and the platform which use it in a commercial manner. How do you handle this? Because the data is, not all the data, but a fair share is produced in view of being transmitted on a network which belongs to a third party, right? So how do you see this connection?
Yes, this is the heart of the problem. The kind of data we are talking now are the data that we know, originated by the traffic on Google, on Amazon, the other social networks, Instagram. I'm old, so I don't know all the new social networks, okay? I don't think that Europe can win this battle by creating the new Google, no? Okay. But on the other hand, I'm sure that in 5 years there will be something new that will be different from Google, because we don't need anymore to look on the web. That was the main origin of Google. But it will be, for example, a platform given by municipality, okay, to exchange stuff, to exchange time, to find job, for example, okay? So this will be new data. Of course, we need engagement of citizens. That will be produced by citizens who agree to be part of this experiment. And of course, they will be co-produced also by the infrastructure, but this is one of the European values. Infrastructures are country-based. Okay, so we expect our country to build the streets. Even in Rome, we still have this hope, no, that somebody will fix the streets. And I don't want to give up this idea, no? So, country are the best representation of the public good. This is a European value, and I would like to be strict on that.
So maybe coming back to also what you said before, that finance is probably one of the most global and globalized objects that the civilization has created so far. On the other hand, when we look into the basic principles of what is sustainability, well, some are about making things more local, recycling more, and making things less interdependent, because also, and as we will discuss more on Friday, when you make a system fully interdependent, well, you are by construction creating systemic risk. And you can ask this to any scientist from any discipline. The only discipline where this is not recognized as an obvious thing is, surprisingly, is the discipline of economics and finance, where it is assumed that a fully interconnected, interdependent system is magically more robust. It's a long discussion that we've been having within the discipline, and Joe Stiglitz will certainly mention that as well tomorrow and Friday. So sustainability is also about building systems that are more local, more weakly interdependent. So, which goes in the direction of the cities. And how could sustainable finance recover that dimension of locality and weaker dependency? Is it, you know, I'm opening this question to you.
I'm definitely the less appropriate to answer to this question, because let me state this clear. So.
Yes, hello. If you want to make it really local and make such a project, you have to look at the mazizone.eu, which is a project run by the European Union and which is localized, and it have been run here in Zurich and in several cities of Europe. And the second thing is, my question to you is, who is going to control the data in your platform? Because this is the main issue of our time. Who is going to have the property of the data? Who is going to control them? And how he is going to use those data? Because there is an ethics issue that we cannot go over it. Thank you.
Yes. As a physicist, I believe in derivatives. No? So this is something really important. So as it is now, there are 5 guys who own the companies in US who control our data. So whatever we do better is a good move. No? So we move. What is the perfect situation that we would like to achieve? Yes, we do. We do want to.
Okay.
So sorry if this is shocking. There are various people who are trying to put together these ideas. I'm not a computer scientist. There are open data initiatives and open source initiatives, of course. And we are definitely thinking, and we will see how much this is available or not, trying to put this data in a proper anonymized form available to everybody first. Everybody could, in some algorithmic way that we have to sort out, but this is, at the moment we are requested to be visionary, not technical, so we will be technical later on. In any moment, you can say, okay, my data produced from February to now, okay, please delete, and then you delete. End of the story. So you will remain owner of your own data. You can use all the data of the community in the proper form. And this is what we should aim to. Then we will see technicality, what they will be to obtain these things. At the moment, let me state this again, we're giving for free to private persons in US. So this I don't like.
Let me, if I can add a comment on that, maybe it's important also to realize that somehow we need to engage in a dialogue also with the corporate world to see, because in a sense currently they are owning the services where the data is produced, and then they are, you know, in some sense they have to be included into this process so that they find it also acceptable. That's, if you want to engage into this process with the European Commission, there has to be a way to include the private sector into the picture. That's actually one of the challenges. In terms of political feasibility of the whole operation, that's a route you have to take into account. So I think you have a very valid point. On the other hand, we need to acknowledge the fact that it won't be possible to create just one centralized but open source distributed way of having the data without having a dialogue and without having a commitment or an engagement or a negotiation with the corporate world, which currently owns the data and will continue to produce the platforms where this data is created. That was just my.
This may just be a matter of clarification. One of your charts described the data, which is from the people, as wealth. And I wonder if you'd explain to me what part of it is exchangeable for the acquisition of food or whatever, if it's described as wealth. Did I misunderstand a chart?
So
I'm referring to a chart that you have where you describe the data representing the wealth of the people. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, data is not the wealth of the people. Data from the people is a source of very good business. If I know, for example, let's make this example. I'm somebody working in the Ministry of, in the government, and I know that, for example, the retail data, so how much the people are spending on food is going down, and or the families, the people are starting to buying again, let's say 50 Swiss francs of food per week, but from caviar, very little amount of caviar, they move to beans. Then I don't need to wait 6 months, analysis to know that the situation is going very badly. No? So this is now casting principle. If I know how much food is left unsold in the supermarket, and I make this data available publicly, then some companies can decide, okay, I will buy and I will sell and I will deliver to the people who need. So this is the data who can be commercially used. The profiling, our profiling, 50 posts on Facebook are enough to establish everything about us and to, in some sense, joke us when we go to the elections. So people that would like to send us electoral message know our profile, will cut the part that we don't like, they know that we will not like, and will also push the parts that we like. This is what Cambridge Analytica is doing. So this is the new oil, this is the wealth in the data. So this is, I don't know if...
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have to come to a close. So maybe do you want to have a final statement or
please,
message?
Yeah. Please be part of this initiative.
Okay. All right. So let's thank Guido again and be in touch with him regarding if you want to get involved in this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.